This program is presented by University of California Television. Like what you learn? Visit our website or follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest UCTV programs.
Prayers ring out through this church in Modesto, California. From Syria, Iraq, and Iran, these worshipers are praying for the release of more than 250 Assyrian Christians taken hostage by ISIS last month. Those prayers mean a lot to Rommel David. His brother-in-law, Abu Martin, is one of the hostages.
We've never, in my lifetime anyway, experienced anything of this magnitude, anything that involves this level of horror. To see him again, I will think it nothing short of a miracle.
Abu Martin left his home in Modesto and returned to Syria with the hope of bringing more family members back to America. Rommel's wife, Charlotte, afraid for her brother's safety, did not want his identity revealed. She says the family is desperate for news.
We've been waiting, and we don't know what happened to them, what they took them, what they at. You know, we've been waiting every day to hear something from them.
The Assyrians are one of the world's oldest Christian communities. 20,000 of them live in and around Modesto. Gennard Lazar leads worshipers at St. Zaya Church.
The Assyrian nation has been through a lot, and many genocides and atrocities. But this has really hit home. From one extreme to another, from Syria to Mosul, from kidnapping the Assyrian people to destroying their heritage.
In recent months, the extremist group has emptied Christian villages, enslaved prisoners, and in the past few days destroyed ancient Assyrian artifacts.
It's actually another genocide unfolding before us, and we need to admit to that, and we need to wake up to that.
During his sermon, Lazar encouraged his congregation to have faith and pray. And in a sign of hope for the community, about 36 hostages were released last week. But Rommel David still waits for news of his brother-in-law. The last time they saw each other was at San Francisco airport. Abu Martin was flying back to Syria. That was 2 years ago.
He looked over his shoulder twice to look at his sister, and that is the last time I remember him looking over his shoulder at my wife.
Now Rommel is praying for divine intervention to bring his family together again. For CNS News, I'm Sean Baldwin.
Law Academy students at Lianza High School are protesting the firing of one of their teachers. Tahitia Dean learned last week that her contract will not be renewed.
Before Ms. Dean, I never really thought about going to college, but she really inspired me that college is definitely the way to go, and it needs to happen.
Anything else?
Dean has been the Law Academy's instructor for 2 years.
At a time when there's a real effort and need to secure teachers who reflect the student body, and her status as a teacher is in jeopardy. We are not in favor of the decision that was made.
Marcus Walton speaks for the school district.
So that is causing some of the frustration by the students and the parents because they want to know personnel issues, and those are things that the district cannot discuss.
Believe in the holy war of this version of it.
The firing seems to have resulted from a recent incident. Dean accompanied students to a mock trial in Martinez. On their way home, they were stranded late at night. When students complained, Dean was blamed and then fired.
She got an email back from one of the administrators here at the school at De Anza saying that why did you influence these kids to write these emails? We chose to do this as a student body.
Students and parents have tried to reach the school's administrators, even the county school board, but no one is listening.
After that, we were outraged. Just the disrespect we felt from the district, because they told us to speak, we spoke, and they chose not to hear us. So that's what we're fighting for.
But Walton says the situation is not unusual.
Non-re-election of teachers is something that happens every year. So this is just part of a process that's been going on for many a year. So this is not the first time, and it won't be the last.
The board took...
The district announced that several other teachers would be fired as well.
What do you make of that? That while he kills...
But the students are focusing on Tahitia Dean, who they say is a special teacher.
She's very straightforward, and even though she's strict and she's on top of you, that's exactly what students need. They need a teacher who stays on top and doesn't lose focus and really helps you and everybody around you.
We're trying to show administration that we really care about our education and that our voices do matter, and it's time for them to listen to us.
For now, these future lawyers have to wait if the district would overturn their decision. For CNS, I'm Loy Almeron.
So this is my mom.
UC Berkeley student Bianca Rodriguez is a sophomore majoring in ethnic studies and works 2 jobs to put herself through school. She's also an undocumented resident.
All I knew is okay, I was different. And that my experience was different than from the people around me.
3 years ago, Rodriguez, a native of Mexico, sought protection under a new program known as DACA.
Are we a nation that educates the world's best and brightest in our universities only to send them home to create businesses in countries that compete against us? Or are we a nation that encourages them to stay and create jobs here?
The DACA program, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, was enacted in 2012 by President Obama to postpone the deportation of young immigrants in the U.S.
If you meet the criteria, you can come out of the shadows and get right with the law.
Undocumented immigrants between the ages of 15 and 31 are eligible for the DACA program.
It grants protection from deportation for a 2-year period and permission to live and work lawfully in the United States during that time.
Former immigration lawyer Allison Davenport helps students at Berkeley with the application process. It's a stressful process, Davenport says, and not just because of the $465 application fee.
There's still that fear for people that they are coming forward, kind of turning over all of their personal data to immigration, and for the first time kind of linking themselves and their family to the immigration service.
In the back of our minds, it was always that fear, what if I get denied? What if my application doesn't go through and they send all my information to ICE? And I feel like that increases my own fear of being deported and or anything that could happen to me for being undocumented.
Last month, that fear came one step closer to reality. A federal court order restrained President Obama's executive action to extend DACA for 3 years and rolled it back to 2. And with a 2016 presidential election approaching, some immigration advocates fear the future of the program is uncertain.
The DACA program was initially instituted in order to protect young immigrant youth or dreamers on a temporary basis while Congress dealt with the larger issue of comprehensive immigration reforms. That has not come to pass since 2012. Here we are in 2015, still waiting for Congress to act.
If the program were to just vanish, then it's what am I gonna do? We just have to stand up for ourselves because nobody else is gonna do it.
For CNS, I'm Fabiola Leiva.
Heavenly Father, I ask you every day, please protect my husband. Ask the immigration to give my husband a second chance, to please help him to be a good American citizen.
For nearly 30 years, Roberto Hurtado's wife never knew his real name.
And he said, I am George Sanchez, because at that time he wasn't Roberto.
I was lying to her.
Not just to her, but to everyone. Hurtado, an undocumented immigrant, took the false name to avoid deportation and to start a new life in the United States.
maybe if I say the truth, she's gonna let me go, and I was in love with her. I was maybe naive, back then. I don't know the consequences.
The consequences are all too real for the nearly 21,000 immigrants who were deported last year with similar misdemeanor charges to Hurtado. For him, it all came crashing down on April 9th, 2013, when the real Joel Sanchez stepped forward.
All of a sudden, 2 guys knock on the door. And I usually don't open it up for strangers. But I opened up the door, and there were 2 detectives.
And they say, I want to talk to Joel, and say, I'm Joel, what can I do for you?
Hours later, Hurtado was arrested for identity theft and taken to jail, where he would stay for 3.5 months.
It was horrible, and sometimes I was crying inside my dormitory, because I was thinking, and my poor wife, how is he gonna live without me?
Maria has been on disability since 2001, after falling off a ladder at work and developing lower lumbar disc disease.
He dresses me because I cannot bend down to put on my pants or my socks or my stockings.
But if the immigration judge is convinced that Roberto is Maria's primary caregiver, their case may be thrown out.
I know I did something wrong, but I want to be with my wife here, and she needs me.
A preliminary trial has been set for April 7th to determine the date for Hurtado's full immigration hearing.
Thy kingdom come.
For CNS, I'm James Pace Cornsilk.
Crystal Banagan is a tutor in North Richmond schools. She says there's a problem when the city that covers 30 square miles has only 3 library branches. The closest one to her neighborhood is 3 miles away.
Sometimes it's just not enough for a busy family who already has a language barrier and no car. There aren't any bookstores.
A book lover herself, Crystal wanted to help, and she found a way.
I thought to myself, what an amazing concept.
She's talking about Lil Free libraries. Each one holds about 20 books. Anyone can take one and hopefully return or leave another one, anytime, day or night. With a $4,000 grant from the City Arts Commission, Banagan's husband is building these tiny libraries.
Within the first month of the library being installed, I saw books in it that I didn't put there. So that was really exciting to see new literature in the libraries.
The city's library director is Katie Curl. She welcomes the help.
None of us feel like we're in competition. We're all out there trying to get that stuff out to kids as much as possible.
The city library system serves more than 100,000 people in Richmond, but only one of the branches is open on the weekends, and when they are open, their hours are limited. The library also runs a bookmobile and will soon have a smaller van to visit schools and neighborhoods regularly. The Little Free libraries are, well, little, and there are only 3 in the works. But Crystal says they are part of the solution to the library's problems.
Putting a big spotlight on the movement around what we're trying to achieve here in Richmond, which is, a focus on education and community.
For CNS, I'm Loy Almeron.
Taxi drivers in California are happy with the prices of gas going down, but they are facing another frustration. It's the booming competition from companies like Uber.
So sometimes you see many cabs, parked and waiting, but you suddenly see a private car comes by, somebody goes in. It looks so, before all this, you think it's, they're picking their body, but now it's the Uber drivers.
More than 500 taxi drivers and owners in Oakland, Emeryville, and Berkeley are joining a lawsuit accusing Uber of not following the regulations. Attorney Holly Van Rock explains.
The devastation that I hear from these taxi drivers of their livelihood. I mean, they felt like, we did everything that we were supposed to do. We complied with the regulations, the permits. We got the medallions, we jumped through all the hoops, and then suddenly Uber comes in and basically is stealing their fares by not going through any of the same regulations.
And Uber has another advantage. Oakland controls the number of taxis on the streets by limiting the number of city licenses. But Uber has no limit on cars or drivers.
Some of them would say, oh, you guys are wasting your time, We don't have to go through all these things you guys go through. So, it's just, it's not a fair competition.
Uber did not respond to several requests for comment, but Van Rock says Uber will likely ask the court to dismiss the case before the trial, as they have done with previous lawsuits.
We're ready to go to the end of jurisdiction.
No money, no business, but we can't go home because we have family, We need to survive, right?
Bridges to cross.
My God.
Bridges to cross.
It's tough. It's tough right now.
For the lack of fares, taxi drivers now are spending a lot of time waiting, sometimes playing dominoes. If their complaint against Uber fails, they may need to make some hard decisions.
If we can beat Uber, we all have to make a decision to join Uber.
For CNS, I'm Alsanosi Adam.
She's everywhere and she's everything. She even talks, but so far only in films.
I'm tour guide Barbie!
But that's about to change. Mattel has joined with Toy Talk to create Hello Barbie. She'll be connected to the internet and will be able to carry on a conversation.
I love New York, don't you? Tell me, what's your favorite part about the city? The food, the fashion, or the sights?
Toy Talk says a creative team will write what Barbie says and record a child's conversation with her. But Wi-Fi connected Barbie may pose some problems.
Is it vulnerable to hacking from outside, malicious people? Can, some criminal hack into your kid's, Wi-Fi enabled toy with a camera on it and start spying on your kid? That would be really creepy.
This BBC video shows just how creepy. A security researcher hacked into last year's most popular Wi-Fi connected doll called Kayla.
She speaks back and quite easily. Hello, Kayla.
I'm in charge now. You might think I am just a sweet toy, but now I have been hacked, I can say all sorts of scary things.
Toy Talk has created other talking toys and said in an email that every recorded conversation will be stored in a secure server with encrypted connections. And parents must grant consent before anyone can talk to Hello Barbie, but parents can't control what a child says to her.
A Barbie would be something a little bit more personal, something a little bit that they would be a little bit more prone to open up to give it more information than they really should.
Another safety feature is that Hello Barbie's microphone only works when children hold down the mic button. But parents still have to be aware.
This is happening on the toy, but this information is going back to some third party, and they may or may not have control over those recordings once they're gone.
Hello Barbie will be available in time for the holiday season. Meanwhile, Kayla says,
Be careful, parents. Who knows what I might say next?
For CNS, I'm Daniela Anaya.
Jake Anderson is a man with a mission to save the game of basketball. After watching the NBA with overpriced tickets and fans so far away from the action, he made a decision.
It was expensive, it was boring, and nobody cared. And that was the first time it really occurred to me that we needed to come up with an alternative to something like the NBA.
So Jake is now the brains behind the Run and Only, a league he created to bring basketball back to the people and a fast-paced game back to the court.
It's a 16-second shot clock, so people take the first good look that they get, and we have no timeouts, no free throws, no halftime.
Definitely the toughest game of basketball I ever played, in the sense of it's nonstop, no energy, no rest. You have to be in shape to play in this league.
I think the guys in this league are more hungry to win.
On game day, tickets cost $10, but running the league costs far more. Anderson pays for the gym, security, referees, the DJ. And those costs add up. So how does Jay think he can possibly make it?
At some point, we have the chance to make real money if we decided to start streaming our games or letting the games be televised.
But for now, the winning players earn $150, while the losers go home with just $35. In the NBA, players average over $60,000 a game. But off the court is where these players benefit with health insurance, financial coaches, even finding day jobs.
These are the things we do for the guys off the court, and that's more meaningful to us than the basketball.
The players seem to agree.
Jake's great. For him to put this together like this and put so much of his time into it is awesome. We all really appreciate him.
So far, the crowds for these games may seem small, but they like what they see. For CNS, I'm Melina Dupa.
Unfortunately, we only each get one body a lifetime. But at some point, you do lose an awful lot of capability to control your body.
The first time I saw him, that was so difficult. He had to fall out of bed when he awakened in the middle of the night and literally crawl.
First symptoms occurred after a bicycling accident. A couple of months later, my left hand started to shake. And then I noticed that my left foot started to drag when I walked.
So we were sitting at the table, and I said, why don't you have that checked out?
When I go to the dance class, I'm more focused on what I can do and what I'm able to develop, because I am, through the class, I think it actually stimulates the brain.
People suffer from stiffness. They sometimes have vocal symptoms where their voices are weak or soft. They may have shaking. They may have freezing.
You learn about what you can and can't do in the dance class. And I never was a good dancer, but now I actually think I am sort of a dancer now. And that's helped, change my self-image and think of myself in different ways than I used to before. Seeing those highly impaired people, just going to that class and eking out whatever they can from it is great. It's encouraging, to see that kind of determination and will to continue and to live the best that you can with the time that you have.